Sarah. You want to guess what the reaction time was? You want to guess?
003.
Okay, Mike, you cheated.
Oh.
But yeah, 003 gets to the finish line first by 1,000th of a second and wins on the double breakout. Sarah goes 4:64.6 to be under 4 thou. Chris Galitti goes 4:41.7 to be under 13 thou. Galitti was 13 green, but Jeff Sarah once again. 003 reaction time. And I am like having flashbacks of Columbus. Columbus is returning. We've got our semifinalists for the Larice Pro category making their way into the staging lanes. I believe I am seeing 3 of the 4. We should be seeing 4 of the 4. Just waiting on our last one to make their way into the staging lanes. And, yeah, life is going to be interesting. Well, we are going to be on a hold here just for a slight moment. Again, we should have our 4.
Law Chevrolet Buick in Boonville, Indiana is a family-owned sales and service center proudly serving the tri-state area for over 10 years. Racing has always been in their blood, and over the past few years, they've been blessed with the opportunity to serve hundreds of racers from all across the country. All of the crew at Law Chevrolet Buick would like to thank each and every racer for the opportunity to do business. Remember, if you buy a vehicle anywhere else, it's not the tires you'll be kicking.
My. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. Jet Black, how is the prize money split up? Well, I'm going to tell you this, it's not split up evenly. The person that goes the farthest will get the most. That's just kind of, typically where it goes. But once they do get down into certain, numbers left.
Trusted by all since 1960. What you want, when you want it, at a price you want to pay. James!
Law Chevrolet Buick in Boonville, Indiana is a family-owned sales and service center proudly serving the tri-state area for over 10 years. Racing has always been in their blood, and over the past few years, they've been blessed with the opportunity to serve hundreds of racers from all across the country. All of the crew at Law Chevrolet Buick would like to thank each and every racer for the opportunity to do business. Remember, if you buy a vehicle anywhere else, it's not the tires you'll be kicking.
Well, it's the old story. You do well, you win a couple of races, and then right away, everybody's against you, everybody's your enemy. It's not fair, but that's the way it is.
Watch carefully. These stock eliminator finals are always so close. And how about this? Sal Biondo takes the win. It's the 100th final for the Biondo family, and
It's a winning one for Sal.
Sal Biondo, Peter Biondo, many national event wins. Of course, brother Peter has won any number of sportsman championships.
For the third time in the last 12 years, here at Maple Grove, Peter Biondo, Sal Biondo both win their respective eliminators at the same national event.
Biondo Racing Products, a family-owned and operated business, now in the 35th year of racers, providing racers with over 50 years of racing experience and expertise. Please check us out at beyondoracing.com.
If you've been shopping around for an AC company based on the various trucks you see on the road, good luck with that. Fortunately, I'm here to tell you about Silver State Refrigeration and HVAC. The heat is on, and it's time to get your AC tuned up for the summer. Silver State's technicians will service, repair, or install an AC system in your home and will always show up on time when they promise. Take advantage of money-saving offers from our website or call before it gets super hot. So don't hunt around for the next AC truck to drive by. Just call Silver State.
Race it, experience it. For the last decade and more, founders and legendary racers Peter Biondo, Kyle Seipel, and the Fling family have put on some of the biggest and best events in the history of bracket racing, setting the bar for what a race can be, for what a race should be. With one race, names like Jeff Verdi and Randall Reed have joined instantly recognizable icons like Scotty Richardson and Luke Bagacki as racers who have achieved on one of the biggest stages in the sport. A place where young and old alike come together not to just test themselves, but to simply enjoy some of the coolest cars, prizes, camaraderie, and competition you'll find anywhere around. Ask anyone who's come to a Fling event, and they'll tell you the same thing. You'll just have to race it, experience it.
Again, the Best Dialer Award, if you are dead on zero, which I've already seen a whole pile of those just in the couple of hours that I've been here. I'm sure that Mike probably see a whole pile more of those throughout the day today and then, of course, tomorrow. It's going to be pretty crazy. So there is plenty going on here. We've got just a couple of minutes. As soon as we get through this, we'll get right back after it again. We're getting ready to go into, round number 6? Which is going to be our Goodyear round number 6. Again, we are down into the fact that running into the Goodyear round, going to be giving away a set of race slicks each day, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So best losing package here is going to get that brand new set of slicks courtesy of the folks at Goodyear Tire. Again, talking a moment ago about the Best Dialer Award. Every dead on zero today and tomorrow is going to go into that drawing for the $1,300 Race Air Cloud Weather Station. Thank you very much to the folks at Computech. But we've still got a whole lot of racing to go on tonight. What was that country song? I got a whole lot of leaving left to do or something like that? I can't remember. Whole lot of leaving left to do.
You lost me at country.
Lost you at country song?
Yes. I got pretty much anything else you got in the arsenal.
Anything else, huh?
Yes. I mean, you want to talk about like Broadway plays and musicals. You want to talk about like old school hip hop, right? Like alternate. I got you. You
Hair
say
bands?
country,
We
hair
could
bands.
go back to hair bands.
Yep. You say country, I'm like, no.
Look at that. Really? We're going to FaceTime from Australia.
As you should.
FaceTime. Let's FaceTime in Australia. I'll bet it's all sunny there and stuff in Australia. Shane, you called me. I'm actually answering you live on the air. Hello, caller. You are caller. Hey. What's up, mate? No, you rang me, man. Well, I'm putting you live on the air right now because we're still waiting on some of our Larice pros to come back. So we are talking live in Australia, like via messenger video, and Shane Wind is, like, it's all sunny down there for you, and it's all dark up here for us.
We're actually unloading, ready to go racing tomorrow. ridiculous.
Where are you at?
We're at Mildura's Sunset Strip. The Sunset Strip in Mildura, Victoria.
Mildura, Victoria, down in Australia. You're at the Sunset Strip, and I see you unloading the dragster out of the trailer. That's actually pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Well, we've been tuning in all day, bud, so we're been watching while we're driving. It's awesome. Good to see you guys. Wish we were there.
Well, we wish you were here too, but at least you're at a drag strip, so we're going to go back at it, man. But you accidentally, essentially butt dialed me from the messenger, but that's okay, man. Good to talk to you. All right, Shane, thanks. That was kind of crazy. Unintentional, but still. Little FaceTime video out of Australia. You think so, Rebel? The new country stuff is not your favorite. All right, I could see that. I really wasn't much of a country fan growing up listening to stuff in my dad's truck anyway, but then like Garth Brooks and all that kind of stuff started to hit the scene. And who was that song that I was country when country wasn't cool? Well, I wasn't country when country wasn't cool, and then when it got cool, I decided it would be all right. So, again, we are just going to kind of wait it out here for a moment, and it looks like we've got some things figured out back there in the staging lane. Should be seeing our Larice Pro cars rolling up here. Jet Black saying that Mildura is out in the country. I don't know how far a drive it would be to get to Mildura from anywhere in Australia. I don't know where anywhere in Australia is, except for the fact that it's like way down south, and it's like a day and a half in a plane to get there. Bob's Country Bunker. That's a name right there. If you named a place Bob's Country Bunker, I think being a boy from the city, I'd roll up on that and be like, nope. I probably should not attend festivities at a place called Bob's Country Bunker. Because I think if I were to roll in there to a place called Bob's Country Bunker, the first sentence that would be out of somebody's mouth is, "You ain't from around here, are you, boy?" And, of course, I'd have to answer no. All right, we should be just a few moments away. Got a couple of more things to take care of here, and then we'll see our Larice Pro cars make their way back down the racetrack.
If you're in the market for a new golf cart, look no further. Ivy Hutto's Golf Cart Sales and Service has been in business since 1998, offering the best prices on golf carts in any price range. Hutto Golf Cart Sales and Service is also the proud sponsor of the Kyle Seipel Never Give Up Award at all Fling events. Larice Motorsports Insurance is offering $1,000 to their customer who goes the most rounds at Friday's Spring Fling Million main event. If you don't have the Larice sticker, make sure you come to the tower. You must have a Larice Motorsports Insurance sticker on your car before first round in order to collect contingency. When it is time to purchase a weather station, turn to the industry leader, Computech Systems. Computech has been providing racers with the best in weather monitoring and ET prediction for over 30 years. Just ask any of our customers, including past world champions David Rampey, Justin Lamb, Luke Bagacki, and Jimmy DeFrank. From their handheld weather station, the Race Air Pro, to the new Race Air Cloud Trailer mounted system with wind, paging, and texting, Computech has what you're looking for. For more information, check out Computech.com and let Computech put you on the fast track to the winner's circle. Call 301-884-5712 to order risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get the right parts at the right price with same-day shipping from Jegs High Performance. Just click on Jegs.com. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. The place for performance.
Jegs.
Yeah, all right. So I know they are taking care of a few things, let's just say, back in the pit area. We had some stuff happen that we've got to get squared away. So again, for those of you that are kind of waiting racers, we do appreciate your patience. For those of you that are watching along on the Jegs and Hoosier sponsored BANGshift live feed, we will get back to racing as soon as possible. There's been kind of an off-track occurrence that we've got to pay a little bit of attention to. We're going to get that taken care of, and as soon as we get that done, we'll be right back at it. But for those that are in the chat bleachers, well, Jet Black, I appreciate the reminder. I know that I've seen the Blues Brother movie a couple of times, and I'm guessing that the one you are talking about, where the Blues Brothers played, was that one that had like the chicken wire around the fence, and by the time it was all said and done, everybody was throwing everything at him. Is that right? I think that's the one. All right, so our best losing package, Mickey Thompson, round number 5, Bodie Bennett. Bodie Bennett, you've got a brand new set of Mickey Thompsons headed your way. So Bodie Bennett, you can come on up here to the Diva desk and collect up your best losing package for round number 5. Again, Bodie Bennett, you can go ahead and make your way up here and grab your certificate. Thanks to the folks at Mickey Thompson, our good friends that have been with us for so long, offering up that brand new set of slicks. So Bodie Bennett, your best losing package in round number 5. We'll also take at this time door cars. Door cars to the staging lanes, please. Door cars for round number 6. Door cars for round number 6. Let's get you headed into the staging lanes, please. Door cars, round number 6. It'll be the Goodyear round. Door cars, round number 6. Go ahead and make your way to the staging lanes, please. We are going to take a little break up here in the tower while we get some stuff taken care of. As soon as we get things squared away, we'll be right back at it, but we are going to get our door.
All right. My name is Peter Biondo from the Spring Fling Bracket Races, and I'm joined today by the multi-time NHRA World Champion, Dan Fletcher. Dan, what's going on?
What's up, Pedro? How are you?
Doing well, buddy. Doing well, getting ready for the events. And you just came off a big foot brake win. Well, you won't call it a big win, but you I heard you had numbers that were top bulb like. So pretty good start to the year for you.
Yeah, could be worse. It's nice to win something. I don't seem to win as much as I used to anymore. It's gotten a lot harder. We all know that, but no, it's fun. Galat's only 33 miles from the house. Greatest little track in the world. Looking forward to being able to race there more this year and running the fling there in another few weeks. I won't be making Vegas, but I wasn't invited, so I'm not going.
Well, I beg to differ. I heard there's an open spot in the Domino trailer.
Well, yeah, that's kind of right outside. I guess I could go, but yeah, I need to, as Brad Pollard would say when he left Gainesville, I need to make a good adult decision here. So that's what I'm trying to do.
All right. Well, listen, you're an adult. Well, I still think you should pack it in, put your big boy pants on, and let's strap it down in a trailer, and let's do it.
In my weaker moments, I considered it. Believe me. I mean, it's a pretty good opportunity, and obviously it's a great race and I'd like to go, but the 2-week commitment with driving out there and back, and just they got a lot of stuff going on here, have 2 dogs and a cat to watch. So I'm home on a puppy patrol.
All right. Well, there's going to be a lot of racers that aren't going to be disappointed that you're not there. Tell us the story. I'm always intrigued, and I think our audience would be intrigued. Tell us the story about, call a spade, how you were miserable working your 9-to-5 at Xerox, and you took a huge risk with a family, and I believe you had young kids at the time, and decided to roll the dice without any designated income unless you want to race. Tell us that story. And what was that, 93?
I actually walked out of Xerox for the last time in 97, but I basically was there part-time, whether they knew it or not, from probably about 94 on. Yeah, just, typical guy that didn't like his 9 to 5, just, clearing paper jams and writing reports about paper tray handling and dog ears on corners of papers just really wasn't my thing. It didn't, back then it was what? I mean, God, it's almost 30 years ago. I made a decent living there as an engineering technician, and, it was warm in the winter and cool in the summer. It wasn't terrible, but, I had aspirations to be a racer guy. And back in the day, you could make $20,000 in a national event, or damn near 20 grand. And it looked like a very winnable bottom ball bracket race. And that was kind of what I was good at. If, I was good at anything, was, trans brake bottom bulb. Seemed like a doable deal. Back in the day, you would turn your nose up at IHRA races that paid like 10 grand. NHRA was the better part of 20, but there was a lot of opportunity. And you could, again, back in the day, you could count on winning class at a couple races, and you could, make the better part of a grand. Tim Warner used to make 1,500 winning class. And class actually meant something back in the day. So I looked at it and laid out a business plan, and it felt like if I went to, 6, 8, 10 of those NHRA races a year, that, I got to be able to win 1 or 2. And if I went to, 3 or 4 IHRA races, if I could win 1 of them, some round money, so a couple class wins, a divisional win, I could put together, my God, if I can't gross 60 grand and not spend that much and be as ahead as I am at Xerox, I just thought it would work. I really did. And I felt like I was killing every day of my life walking into Xerox. You're only going to be alive so long. Like I just saw on the Google Snaps today that everyone's good friend and announcer guy, Bob Unkefer, and he's not doing good. And it doesn't look like he's going to probably make it through. And it's super sad, dude. Tim Warner passed away back in December. You aren't going to be alive forever. So you gotta kind of do what makes you happy. And I'm not saying that working on race cars like I do these days makes you too happy, but it's still better than Xerox, that's for sure.
So you had kids at the time.
Yeah, I had Thomas, and Tim was born in 95. So yeah, but at time, well, the way, it's a different world now. Guys get maternity leave all the time, right? But back in the day, when Taylor was born, and Tim was born in 92. I don't believe I just said that. Taylor's born in 95. So Taylor's born in December of 95. Right about that time is when they came out with a deal called the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA or whatever. And basically 13 paid leave, maternity leave for a guy. So Taylor's born in December. She's born, whatever, go back to work. Well, I walked into my boss and say, I don't know, May-ish, whatever, probably before the Western Swing, walked into my boss and said, hi, boss, I'm going to do this Family Medical Leave Act. I'm out of here for 13 weeks. So he wasn't too happy, but it was, I wasn't getting paid for it. I think you might even get paid at this point, but it was unpaid leave, and it was my dry run to go out there and see if I could make this work. We went on the Western Swing. I think we did, as I recall it, but I know that I won Brainerd and I won an IHRA national event in Scribner. So between those two, I grossed about 30, probably hit a points meter. So, and it was like, after I came back after a few months, dude, I can do this. This can work, So I went back to work after that point. I tried to make an adult decision. I went back to work, worked through the winter, worked through the fall and the winter, whatever 13 weeks ended up, went back to work, worked at Xerox all that spring, started out the year out west, and I won. Now at this point, I'm flying back and forth, or, however I did it, but I won, I think, like Phoenix and Gainesville to start the year. And I wasn't planning on walking out of Xerox for good until like June. And after Gainesville, I just called up and said, I'm out. Thanks for coming. I won't be back. So that's how it went.
And as a racer, I know you can drive good under pressure. I mean, you and I have been rivals turned into good friends now, but sometimes we wouldn't even look at each other in the staging lanes. We were pretty intense competitors. And I always thought you had a great knack for racing under pressure, but man, what was it like? How does that change your approach to a round? I'm sure there's sleepless nights going up to it, but you start the year, let's say, in a slump, and you got to put food on the table. Did it help you or hurt you performance in a race car?
I got to tell you the truth, it really had like no impact. I mean, it honest to God, it had no impact. And when I walked out of Xerox, there was no catching it. I had no sponsors, zero. I had an orange Camaro. I had nothing. I had my dad's 77 Dodge van in a beat up old. Oh, hi, mommy. Hi. I had a beat up old enclosed trailer. I had my dad's Dodge van. The beat up enclosed trailer was actually one with barn doors and ramps. I mean, that's how old it was. So in an orange Camaro, dude, I had no sponsor dollars. So I had to make it all happen on the track, Fortunately, Valvoline stepped up not long after I walked out of Xerox as my first primary sponsor, and that helped out. At the time, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. I got like $1,000 a race or something, for a national event deal, up to 15 races. I mean, obviously that wouldn't hardly get a man to Vegas and back at this point. But like Bertozzi, Anthony said, that he, I can't believe you can even stage a car. I mean, you got to win to feed your kids. Dude, the minute I would, and I'm not BSing when I say this, when I would start the car, I mean, sure, my nuts were in a vice all week or something. I mean, if I knew I was close to, but at the time you didn't need to make that much. Life was simpler. The mortgage was small, no car payments. I mean, the overhead was down. Things didn't cost what they cost now. You didn't have to make that much, But when I fired a car to go in the water, there's nothing else other than what's ahead of me. And it never really affected me. Sure, when I would leave after I lost, and now I'm like, I didn't win and I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent this month. Yeah, then the drive home was pretty rugged, But I had raced that whole way when I was a kid, when I was 18, 19, 20. I didn't have the money to go do it. I had to win. If I didn't win, I couldn't afford to go do it. It's the way it's always been. So that's not really ever changed. And unfortunately, well, I guess things have changed now. Now when the win light comes on in the final, it's about just satisfaction that I won. But 15 years ago, it was, okay, there's another month's worth of money. That's what the win light in the final meant. But now it's with sponsor dollars. I mean, it's gone inverse. I used to have no sponsors and have to win a bunch. And now it's, I'm blessed to have MicroStrategies and ATI and VP and Denzo and Mickey Thompson. If I didn't have them, I couldn't do it now, because you can't win enough. And I can't win physically enough races, and you can't make enough money. So if it wasn't for sponsors, forget it. So there's my deal.
Yeah, and I've watched it play out over the decades. So now I'm 51 years old. You're a few years older. What are you, 56, 5?
Yeah, I like your thinking. You're close.
Okay, I'm close. Mid 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can't help but ask, because this is starting to, I've never thought like this before, but now I get to a race, you see a lot of young guys. I used to hear my father talking about this and think he was crazy, but you start to wonder when you're not going to be able to compete at the level that you and I hold ourselves to a high standard. I mean, you see people in all kinds of sports. You see Tom, who's coming back at it again. Like, where do you see it ending, and like how?
Yeah. Well, let's face it. Careers never really end well, right? I mean, you generally, got to hit a Rusty Wallace wall, right, where you're incompetent before you finally recognize it's time to hang it up. I'd like to think I'm going to be smart enough to realize, or be a realist enough to realize. I think that I'm still very, very good at what I do, but I will say that I make some mistakes that I don't think I should make that I might not have made before. My friend, again, Tim Warner, used to say that as you get older, it's harder to concentrate. You're up there, you're up there staging, and not that your mind wanders per se, but you're noticing that golf cart on the return road that's driving by. You've got to have a level of focus where you aren't seeing any of that. And I don't want to be that guy, with a friggin' little peephole, in my shield or something, Who was the guy from back in the day, Rard and Bob, with the paper towel tube? Your dad used your father was telling that story. I don't want to think that my focus is so bad that I need that kind of crutch, but
yeah, if I start seeing you with a toilet paper hole, paper towel hole, I'm gonna flag you down and say I think it might be time to hang it up, Dan. I think
you're right. There's a
lot
of young kids out there, a lot of talented young guys. It's hard for me to believe. Like, there's some kid there the other day talking to me, whatever, and I find out from Timothy that he's like 23 or 4 years old. I'm thinking, my God, I'm over 30 years older than this guy, and I just like the old timers always used to tell us, right? You still think that you're 20, but then your back and your legs tell you aren't. But when you're out there racing, you still think that you're just as young as them. But when I went to a bracket race with the guys at Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, the one guy said, "Oh, you brought Pops with you." What the F? I'm Pops now? I'm the old guy? Yeah, that's what happens. I'm the old guy now. And I'm not really down with that, but that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, it happens fast, and I agree with you 100%. You tell yourself one thing, but your body tells yourself another.
Yeah.
So give us one thing. Let's say you're transitioning out of racing, and you have your son, Timothy, let's say, and you have taken him under your wing, and you have one piece of advice to give him. Just one. What would it be?
Just one. Just one's hard, but just discipline. Just discipline. That's it. All facets of life, discipline.
That's a good way of putting it, because you can relate discipline to all facets of racing and of life. So where do you see you have any? I mean, how many world championships have you won? And you won 102 national events, right?
Yeah, I've 105, tied Manzo last year at Charlotte.
That's, by the way, that's a huge deal right there. 105 NHRA national events.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yeah. But it's not near as easy to win them now as it was. I've won 3 championships, but I haven't raced for points in, really in like over 10 years, probably. I mean, the divisional events aren't that lucrative, although divisional events used to pay like $3,500, $4,000, and nationals paid like 20. And now divisional events still pay like $3,500 to $4,000, and the national event's like 9. So divisional event is really a lot more appealing than it used to be, right? So I might have to start going to a few more of those, especially I'm only a half hour from Galat. I'm only 2 hours from Rockingham, 2 hours from VMP. I can probably hit a few more where it might make sense. It didn't used to make sense to go spend the same amount of money, the same assets, that's one problem is bracket race. Yes, I want to Galat this weekend, but I made 20 runs on my equipment. Like Stennett would say, to double honor, you got to hate your equipment, right? I made 20 runs. Kyle's dad used to budget, right? Exactly how many dollars per run it would be. And it used to be like $20 a run. I can't imagine what it is now. I lost money. I won. I lost.
Well, and for the audience that doesn't know Dan as well as I do, Dan's he's very articulate. He's very, he looks at all of the angles when he makes a decision on what to race, what class to race, what combination to build. With all of that said, he chooses a 4,000-pound station wagon to run into the Spring Flings, which I still shake my head, and I have shaken my head for a while about it until I raced with you down in Montgomery at Brits Race, and I saw how that thing printed tickets. But it's pretty ironic that you have a dragster, you have a lot of good cars, and you pick a 4,000-pound station wagon. Can you tell us why?
It's a super fun car to drive. I mean, really fun. It's got personality, right? I mean, I think wagons are cool. I like wagons. And it's it's an easy car to drive. It's just a super car to drive. I'm not like bragging or anything, but I'll put that car up against anyone's car, dude. I mean, it really runs good, and it stops like a son of a bitch. I mean, I know where my spot is, and it's just a really good car, and it's super fun. And unlike a dragster, that's just a giant pain in the butt to load and unload. And if it's raining, you get caught in the rain. The trailer, you jack them out in the air, get the nose off of it. Just the wagon, it's very comfortable. It's very, and if it was comfortable and not good, that would be one thing. But it's pretty good. I mean, I know that everyone probably chuckles. They all got real race cars that are $80,000 cars, and I got this old street car. But I'm not afraid to go try with it.
No, I think it's great. Dan Fletcher, gas or alcohol?
I'm different than a lot, right? I'm gas. My kids always wanted alcohol, and I'm just not down with the whole alcohol deal and the problem stuff that comes with it. And I think a good gas setup is, I might move just a little where alcohol's maybe not gonna, I guess. But again, like Pete Dagnolo is a super great racer, hard worker, pretty smart, works hard on his stuff to make it better. And he runs on alcohol, and he's been with us with the Nova and the wagon. And, I think he'd tell you that it's, pretty damn good. So I'm a gas guy. I don't have, when you bring two cars and you go for these long races, I don't have enough room for that much alcohol.
Well, let's close it out with, do you have one story from the races? What's your most embarrassing story at the racetrack?
Dude, I can't pick one. I got lots of embarrassing stories. Okay, you could pick where, I fell off the top of my motorhome, where I ran my scooter into a fence, where I ran my scooter into the guardrail at the end of the track, where there's a million, but probably one of my most embarrassing on-track races is I'm at Gainesville, and I'm running Bo Kinney, who is Cambria's friend that I sold one of my old race cars to. So just that's kind of funny, right? Poor Paul Cambria, an attorney, got some money, whatever, good guy, wanted to get into racing. I sold him my LT1 Firebird. Well, I've probably cost that guy $5 million with all the race. He's got two Copos and just all, I mean, the amount of money that, then he drug his buddy Bo Kenny into it, and he had all kinds. So I'm running Bo Kenny. Bo was a great guy, probably not the best racer in the world. And he was having problems with his GT car at Gainesville and someone to transmission or whatever. I got to, I think it was probably the 1,000 foot. I can't believe I'd do it earlier than that. But I got to the 1,000 foot, and he's like, 18 bus lengths behind me. He had a problem with the transmission again. And I threw the freaking car in neutral. Like I would in a time run where I'm shutting it off at 1,000. And here he comes. And I'm in neutral. And I had to have almost thrown in neutral at the 8th mile. I mean, but the bottom line is I watched him drive by me first round at Gainesville, and I lived at home in New York, right? So you're 20 hours from home, and I watched him drive by me and turn a wind light on, and then be broke and not be able to go up for the next round because I threw the friggin' car in neutral. Just complete brain cramp.
Yeah.
That might be one of my most embarrassing on-track efforts.
What's crazy about that story is not only do I remember it, but I'm pretty sure I was happy that it happened because I had a buy run next round. I'm pretty sure if we look into the archives, I ran Bo Kenny that next round.
I don't recall that, but that would make it just all the gooder. Sure.
Well, Dan, we appreciate you coming on. Wish you the best of luck in 2022.
Hey there, welcome back or welcome to Tech Talk. This is our twice monthly message focusing on a technical aspect of sportsman racing based on our experience and the knowledge, I guess, that we've gathered over years within the sport and years working with racing. Just you, with two goals in mind. The first, to help you to take the next step, however big or small that may be, in the direction of becoming the best version of yourself on the racetrack. Let's make your combination just a little bit better today. And then the second is to just provide a brief glimpse into what life within our membership community, This is Bracket Racing Elite, is like. It's these types of discussion, this type of thought-provoking, interesting banter that goes on every single day within This is Bracket Racing Elite. So today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about trailer organization, and particularly during the off season, this is a topic that comes up a lot. One of the main questions I get is like, hey, what all do I need in my trailer? And to me, the answer to that lies in the answer to two pretty obvious and simple questions. The first is, what can you afford, to realistically keep in your trailer as backup? And I'm talking tools to support equipment to spare parts. And then probably equally important, like, what are you willing to actually work on at the racetrack? Like, it's one thing to be able to afford a spare engine. Like, I don't carry one. I'll carry, if I have it a spare for a dragster, I would carry it because like I'd be willing to do that at the racetrack. I'm not going to carry a spare small block for my Vega except maybe select events. Like, I'm sorry, there was a time in my life, but that time has passed that I would be motivated enough to swap that. So those two issues play in, like, what can you comfortably afford to do, and what are you willing to do at the racetrack? With that in mind, whatever it is that you decide to stock with your trailer, like, I'm a bit of an organizational freak, right? And specifically in racing, like, when I need something at the racetrack, it's not often that I've got like overnight to fix it, right? Usually I needed it 10 minutes ago. So if I can afford to carry what I need in the trailer and I'm willing to change it, it not only needs to be accessible, but it needs to be prepared. And I need to know where all of it is. I'm kind of a freak about this. I actually spend a lot of time in organization. A couple of tricks that have helped me that I'll share. Specific toolboxes. Like, I've got every tool that I feel like I need, right, in the trailer toolbox. But then I've also got a handful of specific, like, tackle boxes for common jobs. I've got one I call it the valve train box. That's everything that I need to run valves or change a valve spring or jerk out a lifter or change a rocker arm, like every tool associated with that chore that I could possibly need. So I've got the stuff to air up a cylinder, the stuff to get the valve covers off, I got the stuff to get the rocker arms off, like all of those tools. So I've got a second set basically of all those tools, so all of that can just stay in that tackle box. Point being, if I come back from a run and hear a squeak or something like that, I can just grab that toolbox and know I have everything that I need right there. I have a similar box for transmission and torque converter changes. I have a similar box for suspension adjustments, right? It just speeds up the process, and it's got everything in one place so that I can get to it quickly and easily. And then the second part is, as you get to a point that you are comfortable and can afford to carry spare parts, it does me absolutely no good to have a spare transmission per se that is just sitting there without any of the necessary components to go in the car. So if I can afford the spare transmission, like, I can afford to not only spend the money, but take the time to put the correct cooler fittings in it, to put the ends on the transbrake solenoid wires, to have a dipstick in it. You know what I mean? Like, all of those little things so that it's as bolt-in ready as possible. And you can apply that to any spare part that you've got, like a spare water pump. I've got the gaskets with it. I've got the correct wiring ends so that I can just stick it on and plug it in, right? And I try to use that approach with any spare part that is in the trailer. So I went on a deeper dive with this, like most of the things that we share here. This is kind of the Cliff's Notes version of a specific lesson within This is Bracket Racing Elite that we also feature individually on thisisbracketracing.com. So if you are in the midst of this, in the throes of this, you like some of these ideas and you want to go a little bit deeper down that rabbit hole,
All right, so again, just kind of like what we had put up in the chat, and before we went into a little bit of a break, I know that we've got our live video back. You can see that they are putting the finishing touches on the racetrack, did a little bit of prep while we were down for a couple of moments. Essentially what we are dealing with is we had an off-track incident that essentially required a little bit of attention from the crew and from the safety team. We did have to get some things taken care of back in the pit area. We are now kind of getting ready to get back after it. We have called our Super Pro door cars as well as our Super Pro dragsters for round number 6. We've got our Larice Pro semifinals that are back in the staging lanes as well. And as soon as we can get that ready to go, well, we'll be racing. So here's what we got rolling up. So our Larice Pro semifinals. First pair is Chad Sandlin, the 85-bodied S10 pickup truck out of Burleson, Texas, rolling up against John Floyd Jr., an interesting little tidbit that I found out thanks to Mo Trujillo. John Floyd Jr. is actually, Dallas Glenn, his wife Sadie, this is her brother. Did not know that. Now I do. So John Floyd, who has been unstoppable in a Duramax diesel 2500 Chevrolet pickup truck, dialed in at 927, and Chad Sandlin dialed in at 634. The pickup truck is going to get an amazingly large head start. Not the largest that we've seen, but it's going to be a big one. And away goes the truck. Here comes the other truck. At this end of the racetrack, they were identical in reaction time. Chad Sandlin was 0.29 on the tree. John Floyd was 0.29 on the tree. Floyd gets to the finish line first by 43 thousandths of a second to break out by 9 thousandths of a second. Chad Sandlin was 29 green and then goes 637 on the 634. And the 85 S10 takes out the 2500, and that is that. John Floyd's run comes to an end. Chad Sandlin moving on to the final pair of our Larice Pro bracket. And that's going to bring up Nick Hastings and Lucas Walker. Now, unfortunately, the incident that happened back in the pit area did some damage to Kevin Pollard's pickup truck that Lucas Walker was driving. He went back and made the determination that, obviously through no fault of their own, through an off-track incident, it would be okay for Lucas to go ahead and swap cars, which is what we have done. So Nick Hastings over the left side, Lucas Walker on the right side. Walker now in the Camaro gets the win light. 5:59 on a 5:58 for Lucas after he was 10 on the tree. Nick Hastings just missed it. This end of the racetrack had an 0:71 reaction time, which is not usual for Nick. But sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and unfortunately Nasty Nick gave up 0.06 of a second reaction time advantage to Lucas Walker, and Lucas takes the Camaro into the final round, where he'll be coming back against Chad Sandlin in that S10 pickup truck. We move into Super Pro door cars. And a $1,000 bonus for the winner of Pro. Again, that is the Larice Insurance Pro bracket. Oh. Leslie Grissom going up against Luke Bagaki. Luke, who we just saw moments ago on the live feed, sharing a little tech talk tips, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Like his whole thing about organizing things into a little tackle box and having, like, I've got every tool for a valve job in one box. I've got every tool for this in another box. And it's like, all right, well, what job am I doing? That's the box that I grab of tools. I like that. I like that. That's really cool. So Luke dialed in at 482 in the Corvette. Leslie dialed in at 683 in the Nova wagon. Down go the lights, we're green. 14 thousandths of a second between the two in reaction time, and on a double breakout, Leslie Grissom is bringing back the Nova out of Texas. Grissom was 24 thou behind the green light. Luke was 10 thou behind the green light. 14 thou the split advantage to Luke. Luke goes down to the finish line first, gets there by 16 thousandths of a second to break out by 8 thou. Leslie breaks out by 6 thou, and the wagon will return. Lloyd Flatham now and Brad Pierce. Pierce in the white Corvette out of Riverside, dialed in at 545. Flatham in the Pro Stock truck style S10 pickup, dialed in at 473. Corvette will get the big head start. And then Lloyd. Lloyd. We'll do the chasing. Ooh. Both drivers, neither one really stellar in reaction time, but Lloyd Flatham by 9 thousandths of a second, going to be a little bit better. He was 0:42 to Brad Pierce's 0:51 reaction time. Lloyd at 473 on a 473. Goes dead on 2, taking 3 thou at the stripe. And there you go, Lloyd. Brad Pierce ends up 544 on a 545. Behind 33 10,000ths of a second at the finish line. Lloyd picks up the win light. Is now Roger Sauter and Mark Lalonde. Camaro out of Cottonwood, Arizona, 559 down. Sauter, the Barracuda out of Nebraska. That is a gorgeous race car. That Barracuda is just sweet. I wonder if we could sweet talk Roger Sauter into taking it down to the other strip. Just at least just one stoplight to the other. Then we'll put it back on the trailer. How about 556 on a 556 for Sauter? 24 green, dead 0 for Roger Sauter. Mark Lalonde was 42 green, taking 9 thou at the stripe, and nothing he could do there. So Sauter will not only get to advance into round number 7, he's also going to be entered into that best dialer drawing for that Computech Race Air Cloud Weather Station, valued at $1,300. Anybody, again, today or tomorrow. Again, dead 0, win or lose, go into the drawing for that weather station. And there have been a bunch of them. And I mean a bunch of them. Oh, my. Tim O'More and Jeff Serra. Sarah's dialed 461. Tim O'Moore's dialed 490. Tim, who's already picked up a $50,000 payday this year, trying to get the job done against Jeff Serra. I think for the first time today, Jeff Serra wasn't 00. Missed it by a mile. He was only 12 on the tree. And then goes 462 on a 461. Tim O'More was 34 green and 491 on a 490. So Jeff Serra picks up another win light as he is going to advance into round number 7. I don't get it, man. Somebody needs to check Jeff Serra for, like, bionics. I mean, he's got, like, robot eyes or something. Ooh, maybe that's it. A certain sense of clairvoyance. Like, I sense the tree is about to drop. I'll let go now. I don't know what it is, but the man is inhuman. Taylor Strange and Kyle Rizzoli. Rizzoli dialed in at 480. Taylor Strange down 474. Rizzoli getting the jump on the starting line, gets it done. 004 and 481 on a 480. He's 14 total to Taylor Strange's 022 on the tree. And a 475 on a 474 matters not. As Kyle Rizzoli 14 total. Taylor Strange 22 on the tree, and Strange had no opportunity to advance there as Perry Como. And Jeff Burns. Burns dialed 443. Perry Como dialed 469. And a red light start for Perry. Perry, red by 0.005 of a second, goes 2 under, 467 on a 469. Jeff Burns, 22 green, and then runs 442.9 on a 443. So Burns gets the win ticket. Burns moves to round number 7 as we are in Goodyear Tire round number 6, all part of the K&N Spring Fling presented by Optima Batteries here on a Silver State Refrigeration HVAC Wednesday. $30,000 to win, with a whole bunch more money on the line for, runners up and all of that kind of stuff. All of that kind of stuff. KJ Desai going up against Sean Langdon. How about KJ coming up through the junior ranks here at the Strip Las Vegas Motor Speedway, taking over the driving duties, and I was talking to him the other day. Oh, Sean Langdon gets it done on a double breakout. 447.9 on a 448 for Sean was 021 on the tree. KJ was 31 green and goes 483.9 on a 484. Marco Paravalaris reporting in that, really, the car KJ's driving is Sean's old car? His old World Championship car? Really? Ah. Well, Sean just showed him it wasn't a car. No. Double breakout. Both were under 1,000. Difference was in the reaction time, and the win light is going to go to Sean Langdon. And Mopar, man, yeah, maybe somebody help me out with the pronunciation there of Perry's last name, but it's like Comeaux. Como. ¿Cómo está? Not like that, but I'm just saying. Gabe Torres, Zach Mazier, couple of heavies from here on the West Coast. 1,000 the difference between the two in reaction time. 008 and under 6,000 for Gabe Torres. 007 and under 1,000 for Zach Mazier. Margin at the stripe was 4,000. Gabe gets there first, breaks out by more, and bows out. But, man, 008, 007, under 6,000, under 1,000. Zach Mazier gets the win light. Weesh. Weesh. How about Mike Crater and Jim Glenn? So we know, like, absolute fact that Jeff Serna, once again, is, Sarah's just being Jeff. Jim Glenn is just being Jim. because he has been going absolutely insane down on the racetrack. The insanity comes to a close for Jim Glenn. Glenn was 14 green, goes 474 and a 477, but Mike Crater, 006, dead 3, 9 total to bump Jim Glenn out of the competition here today. So Jeff Serra is going to be headed back this direction to take his second entry. Into the next round, and I think Sarah is going to be staying alive in 2 because from what I'm understanding, he is the last car left here in round number 6 and is sitting on the bye, so he should be coming back alone, which will get him through on day number 1 in 2. And I believe that also means that we're more than likely going to be coming back. I think we're coming back on a ladder in Super Pro next round. We'll have our finals for the Larice Insurance Pro category. Which will be Chad Sandlin and Lucas Walker. And then we'll see what we got. Oh. Oh, boy. All right, so it looks like Jeff Serra has made his way back down from the top end of the racetrack, is getting into his second entry. We'll be rolling up here, and we will put an exclamation mark on Goodyear Tires round number 6. On the $30,000 Silver State Refrigeration Wednesday. Or we could say Wednesday. At least it's not yesterday. Yesterday was wind day. Monday was wind day. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It was. It was nasty. Got all kinds of dust in my Courvoisier. It was terrible. All right, so Jeff Serra. Already threw in one entry. Rolling back in, I believe we've got, about 10 that are going to be coming back. So I think we had 19 show up. So we got 10 coming back. Sarah's 2 of them. And then everybody else will kind of fight their way through. Show off. Jeff Serra clicks it off early, was 004 leaving the line. And that will be a wrap for Goodyear round number 6. We'll be headed back for Who's Your Tire round number 7 here in just a moment. One moment, please. Now serving round 7. So we've got plenty of racing activities still to do. Again, we should be coming back with 10 in Super Pro. We'll have our Larice Pro final round coming back as well. So racers, just hold on tight. Un momento. For those of you who are watching along on the Jegs and Hoosier sponsored BANGshift.com live feed, we'll be back in just a moment. Again, do certainly appreciate your understanding with the delay that happened there a little while ago. Did have to get some things taken care of, and I'm sure that certain things may have already started to make their way out across social media and all of that kind of stuff. But for now, we'll just leave it at the fact that we did have an off-track incident. We got it pretty much taken care of, and if there are any further updates necessary, we'll be sure to share those with you as is needed. But for now, we are getting here, and we'll be headed back in round number 7 here just a moment.
We drive people. We drive bracket racing. Because reliability, accuracy, and consistency is what goes round and wins races. An all-in-one solution tailored to your application. Walk the pits and you'll begin to see fuel tech everywhere.
Racers serving up the very best parts. That's what Mazier Enterprises is all about. Since our first product introduction in the 1980s, we have been in the relentless pursuit of excellence on the track and off, with a mission to produce the very best parts. Problem-solving parts for your high-performance vehicle. No matter if it's chassis and fabrication, water pump and cooling system, starters and the accompanying electrical, or full billet flex plates you're after, look to Mazier for the best solutions.
Welcome back, or welcome to Tech Talk. This is our bi-weekly email in which we try to focus on one specific facet of the tech side of sportsman drag racing, whether that is one specific product or a way of doing things that we've stumbled into or learned that works in 20 plus years of experience, with one common goal, and that is to provide some advice, again, some knowledge, some experience, in an effort to help you take a small step toward becoming a better racer, the best version of yourself on the racetrack. Today, what I want to talk about, a question that I commonly get, and I've probably got a little bit of a unique answer for, is starting line enhancers. Do you run starting line enhancers? Do you recommend starting line enhancers? I hate starting line enhancers. I know, right? Shocker, because they're probably, I don't know, like 50-60% of the bracket racing world uses them. And I understand why. Like, I love the theory behind them, in that it basically maintains an RPM just above idle until, your side of the tree comes down. So you're basically on the launch chip for the same period of time, run after run. That means that you're building roughly the same amount of heat in the transmission and converter, and that's critical. Like, that's really important. I really don't like anything air, anything CO2 on my bracket car, just because I feel as though, and my experience shows, that it costs me around a year. Like, I forget to turn the CO2 bottle on, the air compressor kicks a relay, a line blows off, like whatever the case may be, that thing fails. And when that thing fails, you've got zero throttle, and you can't win around unless your opponent goes red or doesn't check up or whatever. Like, it would take a very lucky break to win around when that happens. And again, in my experience, like, when I was making 800, 1,000 runs a year, like, that something related to that process would cost me around a year. And it's a funny story, I guess. It wasn't very funny at the time, but the last time that I had a starting line enhancer on my dragster, I was in a 890 IHRA race, and when I did my burnout, the like brass tube from the CO2 bottle to the regulator, you know, like this long, it snapped in half, and all the CO2 went blowing out the dash. And so I backed up and I thought, okay, well, I don't have a throttle stop, I don't have a shifter, like I can make this work. And then I realized, like, no, I don't have a throttle. So it was at 6 cars left at a division race, and I drove back to the pits, and it took me about half an hour to get that contraption off of the throttle cable. But when I did, I threw it across the pits, and there, I assume someone picked it up at some point, but it may still be sitting in the pits at San Antonio Raceway from 12 years ago. Like it just wasn't going to cost me another round. So with that in mind, what I do in an effort to, again, kind of take advantage of the idea behind a starting line enhancer, and that's to minimize basically heat in the transmission from being on the chip for a long time, say when I'm the faster car with a long spot. I actually wire up the output from the starting line enhancer to a separate rev limiter. In the grid, that's really easy. I use the spool function, and I set that at, say, like 3,000. So let's say that I'm the faster car by 3 seconds. When I let go of the switch, I can go ahead and mat the throttle, and it'll just stay at 3,000 until my side of the tree comes down, and then it goes up to my desired launch RPM. Or like in my wife's case, she's more comfortable letting go with her foot on the floor, so she just stages and puts her foot to the floor, but again, it holds it at like 3,000 until she releases the button and her side of the tree comes down, and then it goes up to the desired launch RPM. Now, you can make the argument that that's harder on the motor, and I would agree. Any rev limiter, when you're robbing cylinders, like, that is harder on internal engine components, but for me, I'll sacrifice that over that thing failing and costing me a round or two a year, because who knows what that round or two could be worth at the level of racing that I'm doing. Like, that round or two could be worth a lot of money and a lot of heartache. So my take on that, I will link to a couple of resources and trainings on This is Bracket Racing Elite that explains precisely how to utilize that ignition related starting line enhancer rev limiter, separate rev limiter, via a grid or 7L3 or something like that. It's relatively cut and dry, but again, in my mind, serves relatively the same purpose as a starting line enhancer without the hassle of a starting line enhancer.
And we'll have to find out an answer to a question. We have a black screen. Kind of like at the beginning of the movie Batman. Lego Batman. Black. All good movies start with black. That's just kind of, okay, now it's not black anymore.
I thought you were searching for the answer to the question, what's the difference between ignorance and apathy?
Me?
I don't know, and I don't care.
I'm ignorant. That's funny, actually. That's funny. I get it now.
Difference between ignorance and apathy? I don't know, and I don't care.
I don't know, and I don't care.
There's not a lot of grammar jokes.
No, there's not. There's not. Super Pros. Super Pro. We've got 10 of you left on the ladder. Again, for those of you who were kind of listening to Luke while we were running through the ladder is hot off the press and in our hands here in the tower. Again, it is Kyle Rizzoli with lane choice over Sean Langdon. It's going to be Crater with lane choice over Grissom. Jeff Serra in the C entry with lane choice over Flatham. Jeff Serra in the A entry with lane choice over Burns. And Mazier with lane choice over Sauter. Those are the 10 that are still in competition for Super Pro. So again, Super Pro, you are on a ladder. Super Pro, you are on a ladder. And we'll get the 10 of you back. So our finals for the Mopar Man here. Well, it's a little bit early in the week for the Wolfman impression. Plus, it's like midnight, and while we do have the PA going, I'm trying to be. There are families that have kids that are probably trying to sleep. We're being loud enough as it is. I don't think they need a screaming Wolfman Jack impression to like help wake the kids up. So we can certainly try that later in the maybe like on Million Night or something like that. But
in addition, that wrecked you for like a week.
Oh, dude, it destroyed my vocal cords. I went back to work and everybody was going, "What is wrong with you, man?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm fine. I'm good. We got it handled." But Mopar, we'll try to pull that one out and dust it off, and we'll see how that all works out. But we've got our finals in Larice Pro headed back into the staging lanes. We've got our last 10 remaining in Super Pro. The answer for how much is it to win in Pro? Well, it's a $1,000 bonus for being the last car standing in Pro, and then you get inserted in with everybody else. So really, when you think about it, we've got the 2 cars coming back in Larice Pro. We've got the 10 cars coming back in Super Pro. So we'll take the 1 winner from Pro along with the 5 winners from Super Pro, and next time we come back, there'll be 6 coming back in. So basically, the Pro winner gets to come back in and is eligible essentially for the same prize, same purse as everybody else. Same round money for whenever it is that they bow out. Bow wow. Bow wow. Bow wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay, y'all. So I think we've got our 2, we've got our 2 Larice Pro finalists back there. And we will determine a winner. All right, see? Yes. Yes. Lane has just chimed in, who also spells their last name Comeaux, which I learned to spell by looking at GEAUX SAINTS. That's the way it's supposed to be. Yep, GEAUXTIGERS. Sure, but I'm more into the GEAUXSAINTS. But I appreciate that. So it is actually pronounced Como. Appreciate the confirmation on that. Pro Street going to be doing a brake job on a quote-unquote relative's pickup? Or are you heading to a family reunion and trying to pick up a relative? I don't know. It is just about midnight here, so I apologize for the inappropriate family reunion joke. All right. Finals time. At least for the Larice Pro category. The last two standing. Winner is going to get that $1,000 bonus, and Lane, I like you even more now. He said Perry is his brother, and Lane stayed home to help or to stop, to not steal his thunder. That's awesome. You got voluntold for the brake job. All right, Pro Street. Here we go. Finals time. Lucas Walker in the Camaro. Had to make the swap after an unfortunate incident back in the pits. Pretty much parked the love truck. Lane Walker is dialed in at 558, and Chad Sandlin, the pickup truck out of Burleson, Texas. So it'll either be a Texan or a Kentuckian that gets inserted into the field with the rest of Super Pro when we come back next time. 634 the dial for Sandlin, 558 the dial for Lucas Walker. The S10 will move first. The Camaro will do the chasing. Walker's in and set. Sandlin's there. Tree begins to drop. We stay green. Oh, Sandlin is in trouble. Lucas Walker jumped into a new car, was 10 on the tree last time, and is 007 on the tree this time to get the win light. 007 and 26 thou above the dial. Chad Sandlin was 32 green. Gets to the stripe first by 5 thousandths of a second to break out by 4 thousandths of a second. Win light to Walker. And the Camaro will be coming back. We'll get the $1,000 bonus and is your Larice Insurance Pro winner. Here today, we should have 10 Super Pro cars making their way back into the staging lanes. Those 5 winners will come back. Lucas Walker will join them. And when we get back here for round number 8, we will have just 6 left. Russell Boys Racing. He's an announcer. And so where do you announce that? Russell Boys, where do you, which track is your track? Kind of curious now. I'd like to find out. That'd be pretty cool. No, I'm just kind of counting what we got back in the staging lanes, and it's a little dark. Night, Pro Street. Good night. Now, Brandon, I mean, let's just make sure that we keep kind of facts straight. I know social media sometimes don't get it right. But, yeah, there was certainly an incident involving a race car and a pit vehicle. Unfortunately, the race car that was involved was Kevin Pollard's truck. It sustained a pretty significant amount of damage. Lucas was doubled in that vehicle with Kevin Pollard, and unfortunately after the Pollard truck was involved in that incident, was unable to continue on. So Lucas Walker making the swap into the Camaro to continue on in the event, and goes on to be our Larice Insurance Pro winner. And Mike Eames has just laid a big green egg. It looks like it would have been painful. That thing's got about a 8-inch diameter. Ouch. Ouch. Surprise, it's another egg. Mike just struggled to try and get the green egg open and open it up to find out that inside of it was a smaller blue egg. Yay you. Yay you. Wait a second. I'm trying to recognize screen names here. What is the CNTSLES? Countless Fabrication? Sure. All right. Saying Vegas is home. And then Russell Boys announcing out there at I-30 in Ardmore. That's cool. See, that's the thing that I got to remember is, like, you know, when you do live back in that part of the country where you've got racetracks that are within, you know, and I did use the plural, racetracks that are within, you know, an hour or 2 hour drive, then you could probably be the announcer at multiple tracks. Whereas out here, our next closest racetrack used to be about 3.5 hours away. And then Fontana closed. So that one's gone. Pomona is about 3.5 hours away, but it never runs. And then we got Phoenix, which is about 6 hours away. Tucson, which is about 7 hours away. And unfortunately, we lost RMR, which was about another 6.5 hour drive. So there really isn't anything that's that close other than Bakersfield. That's 6.5. It's not 6.5 from here? It's not 4 hours from here. Or is it just the fact that that drive is so mind-numbing that it seems like 6 hours? It's 4 hours. 4 and change, okay. I thought it was, I thought it was longer than that. Either way, you got Bakersfield is, you know, close. That's now the closest track. All right. All right, Captain Midnight. I would love to open up one of those. Just saying. A beverage that goes would be really tasty right about now. 10 minutes from I-30 and 2 hours from Ardmore. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. All right. Super Pro. Round number 7. The Hoosier Tire Round. 5 pair remain. And we're getting into like the whole dragster versus door car type thing. And I think pretty much at this point we're coming down to where we've got 1, 2, 3 door cars coming back. Lloyd Flatham happens to be one of those. Flatham in the pickup truck, dialed at 473, and Jeff Serra in entry number 1. Backing up the blue dragster, dialed in at 460. So a 0.13 of a second difference between the two in time prediction. And can Lloyd Flatham do what nobody else has seemed to figure out how to do, and that is park at least one of Jeff Serra's entries? Serra, who worst reaction time we've seen in the last 9.5 hours out of him has been 12. And at that point, it was considered that he missed it. Flatham is in and set on the left side. The racer out of Linwood, Washington, going up against the Pennsylvania-based ride. Tree drops, and Flatham, that is not going to work. I am so sorry, but a 2+ reaction time against Jeff Serra will net you exactly the result that was just handed out. Lloyd Flatham goes 473 on a 473. Jeff Serra puts up his worst light of the day at 15 and goes 466 on a 460. So Serra is in one with an 016 reaction time. And again, now that we're getting down to where we're going to have 6 coming back, because remember, we'll have the 5 that are coming back from Super Pro and the 1 coming back from Pro, which will put us back at an even number, as we are going to bring up Sean Langdon and Kyle Rizzoli. Langdon, who grew up running here on the West Coast, captured a couple of world championships running around here on the West Coast. Rizzoli, who's captured a championship running around here on the West Coast. 2 bigs, 479 the dial for Rizzoli right side. 446 the dial for Langdon left side. 22 thou separate them in reaction time, and the win light's going to belong to Sean. Sean, who just spent the last several days racing down there at Capital City, essentially getting warmed up for this one. What do you say? We got made it to round number 6 every day? Loaded up, flew out here, and is now making his way to round number 8 on a $30,000 Silver State Refrigeration Wednesday. Gets around Rizzoli. Rizzoli was 42 on the tree, goes 480 on a 479, and by 0.010 of a second, Sean Langdon gets the win light after he was 20 on the tree, and 449 on a 446. So here now is Mike Crater and Leslie Grissom. So one of our 3 door cars has failed to advance. We'll see if Leslie Grissom in the 66 Nova, dialed in at 682, can get the job done against Mike Crater, dialed in at 439. 2.5 second head start. Uh-oh. Win light goes to Crater. Crater was 006. Leslie Grissom was not. It was a 31 thou difference between the 2 in reaction time. Leslie ends up 31 thou off the dial. Mike Crater's 006 puts him in a good spot. Even though we're coming back with an even number, I'm just saying. Puts him in a good spot. So the door cars are 0 for 2. Rolling down here into our second to last pair. Again, waiting as Sarah will be making his way back to jump into his second entry after already racing one of them through. Zach Mazier, the dragster for Mazier Enterprises. Good friends of the Fling, sponsors of the Fling, dialed in at 485, and Roger Sauter, the Barracuda out of Sydney, not Australia, Nebraska. No, it's just as exotic as Sydney, Australia. Granted, they don't have the bay, and they don't have the opera house, and they don't have kangaroos, but they've got Nebraska stuff, like dirt, corn, wheat. 555 the now for Sauter on the left side. Sauter, the door car, gonna pick up the win light here. 11 on the tree and goes 556 on a 555. Zach Mazier was 007 and then goes 488 on a 485 to come up 12 thou short. So Sauter 11 green, 56 on a 55. Oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. It is now past midnight. And with the official clock on the wall saying 12:09 a.m., the PG-13 rating of this broadcast has now been suspended. So should you have young ears listening in, it's time to turn off the volume. I'm just saying. Oh, man. See, there you go. We are all hanging in there. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's like, look, I didn't actually get here until a little bit before 7 o'clock tonight. But just like everybody else, got up, did the full day in the office, which was miserable and painful and all of that kind of stuff. But got that done. Then was able to come out here to the racetrack and get to spend at least a little bit more time hanging out here as we are down to 6 cars left. 2:10 a.m. for the Russell boys. Team RBR. I'm serious. I'm gonna have to go look up like what kind of cool stuff is in Sydney, Nebraska. 12:10 and it's Susie's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Susie. Wasn't that song "Wake Up, Little Susie"? It's 12:10 a.m. Wake up, little Susie. Wake up. What is it? We both fell fast asleep. So wake up, little Susie. Happy birthday. All right. Well, with that, it is 12:10 a.m. here. So I know that we do have some folks who are trying to sleep. We're going to be a little bit quieter from up here in the tower for a little while. We're going to go down for just a moment. But again, as soon as we get the ladder, we will be combining our pro winner, Lucas Walker, in with our other 5 winners, who would be Sean Langdon, Mike Crater, Jeff Serra, Roger Sauter, and we've still got one pair to decide.
I'm just saying, Nathan Hershey, that according to TripAdvisor, the number one thing to do in Sydney, Nebraska, is the National Pony Express Monument.
So, that is actually kind of cool. The National Pony Express is the number one thing to do in Sydney, Nebraska. And it's a bronze statue in the middle of a park. Roger, I'm not saying anything bad about your hometown. Super excited. That's awesome. But TripAdvisor is saying that the number one thing to do in Sydney, Nebraska is to go stare at a bronze statue. Sweet. All right. Final pair. Who's your tire? Round number 7. This does appear to be the perfect time for the golf announcer, just because it's quiet. We'll see. All right, so Jeff Burns, Jeff Serra. If Mike Eames was on the mic, he'd probably say something ridiculous like the prediction machine says that somebody named Jeff is going to win.
I thought we were going to do golf announcer and be Jeff Serra.
We can.
464-yard par 4.
Well, Jeff Burns, 443 to dial in over the left side of the racetrack as Burns backs up from the burnout, starts to position himself to take his shot across the way. Jeff Serra coming in out of Adamstown, Pennsylvania. Jeff, already on tour, has picked up a big win back in Columbus, where essentially the final round came down to he, himself, and I. Jeff was able to pick up the win in that one. Big time for he and his sponsors, and that got everything taken care of. But with the 464 dial, Jeff Serra will get the opportunity to lead first. Jeff Burns will be doing the chasing here as we are off and away on the green. Serra with the scoop rock ends up with a 465 on the 464 after a 009 reaction time. Jeff Burns was 004 on the tree and then ends up with a 444 on the 443, and the crowd goes wild. So Jeff Serra officially advancing in both entries here, and of the 6 that are coming back, Serra will hold 2 of those spots. It's actually been pretty amazing here, Mike, today. The weather's been beautiful. The course has held up well, and Jeff Serra is swinging as he did out there in Columbus. That certainly spells some potential for championship rounds. the prediction is that there is a potential for Jeff Serra to be on a collision course with himself when the next ladder is produced. But we'll wait and we'll see what's going to happen here. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. Well, Mike Eames is kind of doing his figuring out what may or may not happen on the ladder, and based on the 2 reaction times that Jeff Serra just put up, well, there is a potential that Serra may end up meeting Sarah in round number 8. All right, so again, as we are just giving them a minute, they're going to get the ladder prepped. And with many, many people already trying to like turn the lights off and get some sleep here tonight, we are going to go quiet in the tower for a little while, and we'll be back at it in just a moment. A moment. Well, all right. 6 cars are what we have left on a $30,000 to win Silver State Refrigeration Wednesday. And the ladder is in. And Eamesy was wrong. Well, Mama's wrong again. The Alligators is not angry because they got all them teeth. Nope. Sarah will not race himself. It is going to be Crater with lane choice over Sauter. It's going to be Walker with lane choice over Sarah in the C entry. And it's going to be Sarah with lane choice over Langdon in the A entry. So Sarah's A entry, lane choice over Langdon. Walker with lane choice over Sarah in the C entry. And Crater with lane choice over Sauter. So those are the 6 that remain. Racers, let's get you headed back into the staging lanes, please. Racers, let's get you headed back into the staging lanes, please.
So we need our 6 competitors up in the lanes here on Silver State Refrigeration, $30,000 Wednesday. Crater, Souter, Walker with lane choice over Jeff Serrett in the C entry. Jeff Serrett in the A entry with lane choice over Sean Langdon. See it. A chunk of our 6 remaining is up in the staging lanes. Pull all the way forward, if you would, please, to the head of the staging lanes.